In this video, we're going to talk about permanent supportive housing projects or other permanent housing projects and what to do with data entry for PSH to PSH transfers. So these happen in rare occasions, usually when a person cannot continue in their current permanent supportive housing project and they need to be transferred in order to help prevent them from becoming homeless again. So we're preventing a return to homelessness. This does happen through the coordinated entry process. So make sure you refer to the coordinated entry training and the coordinated entry policies before making a permanent supportive housing transfer. Because there's specific guidelines that you must meet in order for a client, or a client must meet in order to be approved for a permanent supportive housing transfer. If you are the permanent supportive housing project exiting the client once the transfer has been approved and the client is moving into a new housing situation, into a new project, the exit information that you must answer when the person is leaving your project is the destination must be rental by client with ongoing housing subsidy. And then the rental subsidy type must be other permanent housing dedicated for formerly homeless persons. You really want to make sure you do not erase or change the housing move-in date that was within your project entry. So keep that in there. If you're the permanent supportive housing project that's receiving this client from the transfer and you're the one creating a new project start and entry into HMIS, remember you must change the prior living situation to accurately reflect where the person came from. This is going to look like the person is not coming from a homeless situation. However, this is allowed per HUD policy that permanent supportive housing projects can transfer clients to another permanent supportive housing project when there is a need to prevent homelessness. So the prior living situation you're going to enter is going to be rental by client with ongoing subsidy, and the subsidy type will be other permanent housing dedicated for formerly homeless persons. You must remember to put the amount of time they were in PSH prior to their entry. So for all homeless questions, these won't populate based upon the conditional logic formatting within your permanent supportive housing entry assessment. You're just going to have to answer these two questions, and then you won't get any of those other homeless living situation questions. When submitting your APR, so if you're an administrator and you're submitting your APR at the end of your funding year, you're going to have people, it's going to look like people are coming from a permanent supportive housing project. You're going to have to explain that in the notes section of your APR or your annual performance report. And again, HUD is aware that these situations do occur. So when you are, again, the permanent supportive housing project who's receiving these individuals, it's really important to note that you must change the housing move-in date. The data standards for a housing move-in date is it must be between the start date and the end date of a person's time in your project. So if a person is coming from another permanent housing project, you will see the PSH housing move-in date flow into your new entry. However, you must erase that and put the same date as their start date into your project. So make sure that housing move-in date is a date that's within the start date of their entering your project and when they end up leaving. If you don't change this, it's going to look like the client never was housed in your permanent supportive housing project. So it's really important that you change that date. And that concludes today's training.